What's up, guys? Welcome to day 28. Today we'll be starting in Job chapter 32. It looks like we're going to get introduced to another character named Elihu, who's going to try his best to respond to Job's friends' reactions. So, Job's three friends refused to reply further to him because he kept insisting on his innocence. Then Elihu, son of Barachel the Buzite of the clan of Ram, became angry. He was angry because Job refused to admit that he had sinned and that God was right in punishing him. He was also angry with Job's three friends, for they made God appear to be wrong by their inability to answer Job's arguments. Elihu had waited for the others to speak to Job because they were older than he. But when he saw that they had no further reply, he spoke out angrily. Elihu, son of Barachel the Buzite, said, "I am young and you are old, so I held back from telling you what I think. I thought those who are older should speak, for wisdom comes with age. But there is a spirit within people, the breath of the Almighty within them, and that makes them intelligent. Sometimes the elders are not wise. Sometimes the aged do not understand justice. So listen to me, and I'll tell you what I think. I have waited all this time, listening very carefully to your arguments, listening to you grope for words. I have listened, but not one of you has refuted Job and answered his arguments. And don't tell me he is too wise for us. Only God can convince him. If Job had been arguing with me, I would not answer with your kind of logic. You sit there baffled with nothing more to say. Should I continue to wait now that you are silent? Must I also remain silent? No. I will say my piece. I will speak my mind, for I am full of pent up words, and the spirit within me urges me on. I am like a cask of wine without a vent, like a new wineskin ready to burst. I must speak to find relief. So let me give my answers. I won't play favorites or try to flatter anyone, for if I tried flattering, my Creator would soon destroy me. Chapter 33. Listen to me, Job. Pay attention to what I say. Now that I have begun to speak, let me continue. I speak with all sincerity. I speak the truth, for the Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. Answer me if you can. Make your case and take your stand. Look, you and I both belong to God. I too was formed from clay, so you don't need to be afraid of me. I won't come down hard on you. You have spoken in my hearing, and I have heard your very words. You say, I am pure, I am without sin, I am innocent, I have no guilt. God is picking a quarrel with me, and he considers me his enemy. He puts my feet in the stocks and watches my every move. But you are wrong, and I will show you why. For God is greater than any human beings. So why are you bringing a charge against him? Why say he does not respond to people's complaints? For God speaks again and again, though people do not recognize it. He speaks in dreams and visions of the night, when deep sleep falls on people as they lie in their beds. He whispers in their ears and terrifies them with warning. He makes them turn from doing wrong. He keeps them from pride. He protects them from the grave, from crossing over the rivers of death. Or God disciplines people with pain on their sick beds, with ceaseless aching in their bones. They lose their appetite for even the most delicious food. Their flesh wastes away, and their bones stick out. They are at death's door. the angels of death wait for them. But if an angel from heaven appears, a special messenger to intercede for a person, and declares that he is upright, he will be gracious and say, "Rescue him from the grave, for I have found a ransom for his life." Then his body will become as healthy as a child's, firm and youth again. When he prays to God, he will be accepted, and God will receive him with joy and restores him to good standings. He will declare to his friends, I sinned and twisted the truth, but it was not worth it. God rescued me from the grave, and now my life is filled with light. Yes, God does these things again and again for people. He rescues them from the grave, so they may enjoy the light of life. Mark this well, Job. Listen to me, for I have more to say. But if you have nothing to say, go ahead. Speak. Speak, for I am anxious to see you justified. But if not, then listen to me. Keep silent, and I will teach you wisdom. Chapter 34. Then Elihu said, Listen to me, you wise men. Pay attention, you who have knowledge. Job said, The ear tests the words it hears, just as the mouth distinguishes between foods. So let us discern for ourselves what is right. Let us learn together what is right, what is good. For Job also said, I am innocent, but God has taken away my rights. I am innocent, but they call me a liar. My suffering is incurable, though I have not sinned. Tell me, has there ever been a man like Job, with his thirst for irrelevant talk? He chooses evil people as companions. He spends his time with wicked men. He has even said, Why waste time trying to please God? Listen to me, you who have understanding. Everyone knows that God does not sin. The Almighty can do no wrong. He repays people according to their deeds. He treats people as they deserve. Truly, God will not do wrong. The Almighty will not twist justice. Did someone else put the world in his care? Who set the whole world in place? If God were to take back his spirit and withdraw his breath, all life will cease, and humanity will turn again to dust. Now listen to me if you are wise. Pay attention to what I say. Could God govern if he hates justice? If he hated justice? Are you going to condemn the Almighty Judge? For he says to kings, you are wicked, and to nobles, you are unjust. He doesn't care how great a person may be, and he pays no attention to the rich people. Oh, he does not pay attention to the rich than to the poor. He made them all. In a moment they died. In the middle of the night they pass away. The mighty are removed without human hand. For God watches how people live. He sees everything they do. No darkness is thick enough to hide the wicked from his eyes. We don't set the time when we will come before God in judgment. He brings the mighty to ruin without asking anyone. He sets up others in their place. He knows what they do. And in the night he overturns and destroys them. He strikes them down because they were wicked, doing it openly for all to see. For they turned away from following him. They have no respect for any of his ways. They cause the poor to cry out, catching God's attention. He hears the cries of the needy. But if he chooses to remain quiet, who can criticize him? When he hides his face, no one can find him, whether an individual or a nation. He prevents the godless from ruling, so they cannot be a snare to the people. Why don't people say to God, I have sinned, but I will sin no more? Or why don't I don't know what evil I have done. Tell me, if I have done wrong, I will stop at once. Must God tailor his justice to your demand? But you have rejected him. The choice is yours, not mine. Go ahead, share your wisdom with us. After all, bright people will tell me, and wise people will hear me say, Job speaks out of ignorance. His words lack insight. Job, you deserve the maximum penalty for the wicked ways you have talked, for you have added rebellion to your sins. You show no respect, and you speak many angry words against God. And that's the end for day 28. Whew. Yeah, this is some serious hot topic. Elihu has an interesting way of approaching Job, and partly because it's like he's been, with him being young, he respects his elders. That's why we have not heard from him for a long time until now. To be honest, I'm actually, a lot of what he says is kind of what I've been emphasizing on for the past few days, about how we feel like Job has sinned, how I feel like Job has sinned, maybe not to the public eye, but kind of from the perspective of what we know of God and stuff. And so yeah, I'm trying to go back to the page where we first started him coming in. But yeah, basically he respects it. For a long time he has this belief about older people having has more wisdom and more understanding because they're older than us, because of only age. But after realizing that these people who are older than him has gone nowhere, he has to say something, which is like to kind of emphasize on my ideas, like, you are not wise because of your age. I mean, yes, you may have more experience with life, but at the end of the day, it's like, you are not wise because of your age. You are wise because of how much you commit your time in your life to Christ. That's how you are be determined how wise you are. Not because of your age, not because of your race, not because of your gender, but because of your commitment to God. I feel like this is what causes someone to be more wise than others. But yeah, Elihu basically kind of starting off with gentle, respectful tone when he's using words like sincerity, like how he speaks the truth and stuff. And the part that starts to get me a little bit I feel like where I'm starting to have trouble like be on his side is verse 4 when he says, "For the Spirit of God has made me." Well, actually no, I misread that. Never mind. Yeah, he basically also acknowledges God's great power and how he gives us life. But he kind of points out what Job's faults are from all the time that he's been observant. About he says how like Job claims to be innocent, that he has not sinned against anyone, that he's not guilty, while picking God up as a quarrel with him. Why he complains to God about God made his life miserable, and that he almost says how like Job thinks that God made him to be an enemy to him. And but then in verse 12 where he says, "But you are wrong, for I will tell you why. For God is greater than all human beings," which I agree with. And he says, "So why are you bringing up a charge against him? Why say he does not respond to people's complaints?" Because God does respond to people's complaints. That like if we truly ask ourselves, why do we complain to God? What is our main goal of complaining to God? Is it to prove that we are right, that we are pure, while God is on the wrong side? Or are we complaining to God to trying to understand from his perspective on why things are happening to us and stuff? And I feel like, guys, this is the other thing. It's like, I don't think God lets bad things happen to us just solely based on our sins. I think he'll sometimes allow bad things to happen to us as a way to get our attention, of how much we actually truly need him and stuff, because we think our life is perfect, but for like a challenge to happen in our life, it's not. I don't think God allows it to happen because he enjoys us suffer, but because we're in sin, but because he wants to get our attention from our society and stuff. And so yeah, basically Elihu basically kind of reframed everything that Job has said in the past couple days that we read the book. But yeah, he talks about how like the kind of like a realization, like we like to twist justice, or like we think that we know the truth, so we twist it. And so if God does not fit in our agenda of what righteous is, then we start to blame God for it. Then we start questioning God's righteousness, which is obviously not cool to do and stuff. But yeah, I don't know, it's like he talks about how God watches how everyone lives and how he sees everything, that nothing can block him from his watchful eyes over our lives and stuff. And so this is where he starts to kind of emphasizes what I don't know, this is where I start to have struggle believing him again. He makes the wicked looks like they cannot be repaired. In verses 20, he talks about in verses 24 to 24 to 26, where he talks about he brings the mighty to ruin without asking anyone. He sets up others in their place. That's actually shows like actually no, not 24, it's 25 and 26, where he talks about like he knows what to do. He knows what they do. In the sight, he overturns them and destroys them. He strikes them down because they are wicked, doing it openly for all to see. Verse 26 is where it bothers me the most. Not only does he picture a God who just destroys all wicked people, that when you're wicked, you have no hope to have it repair your relationship with God. But he also talks about like God does it in a way, God destroys people in a way where it's out in the open. One, I mean, these could be two things. One, just to be setting them as an example of what happens if you do wicked things, is that God will destroy you. Oh, the other one is to humiliate those people who did evil. And I don't think that's what God is, especially not the number two. Maybe God could do one for. I could see how God can be a God who's like make other people as an example, as the way to warn them of not to do the things that they do. But the second one is like to humiliate people. I don't think that's what God is. I don't think God does it to humiliate people, because that's not who he is. That guys, when we humiliate each other, that is not love. And if God is literally the definition of love, then it does not make sense for him to humiliate people in front of all. So that part I disagree with. And then I happy that he's able to see my side of where like we individuals has a choice to either accept God or reject God. And so if we reject God, God will let us reject him. But then this is where I struggle with believing with being on the same side as Elihu, is when he starts to making judgments on Job, saying, Job, you deserve the maximum penalty for the wicked things you have talked. Like that part is like, boy, who are you to tell Job how much he gets to suffer, right? Because when we start telling people how much they are going to suffer, it's being judgmental. Because that's what it literally is. Because like we tell them this is what's going to happen to them. But like in reality, we are not God. We don't get to tell people how much they get to, how much they're going to get punished. Only God gets to do that. So for Elihu to tell Job how much he's going to suffer, like how much he deserves to suffer, it's like, you're now better in your other friends, because his other friends tell him of his sins, tell him why he gets punished, while Elihu's just basically make it worse by saying, and because he did all these things, this is how much punishment he should get, which is maximum amount of punishment. It's like, who are we to tell people how much they get to get punished? Isn't that what God does? Isn't he the God of justice? So why don't we let God be the judge and stuff? So yeah, that's the end of day 28. So may we all not be so quick to judgmentals, where we like assign judgments to others for no, even though it's not our place to do that. So may you go and walk with God today.